All right, so welcome into our live show today. We are going to jump into two big tokens that I think might be leading out the altcoin space, and that is Luna and none other than Polygon. You guys know it very well. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back to TechPath. We've been talking about Polygon and Luna on this channel for quite some time, and it's a typical scenario of hopefully you got in early when we started kind of pointing in this direction. Lots of signs. Great signs if you are a Luna and a Polygon holder today. I want to jump into this. We will get into some charts today, so we'll break down charts where we think it's going to go. We'll also break down, I want to do a quick review of Bitcoin again, just to kind of keep an eye on how the charts are showing how Bitcoin is going, because there's a lot happening here that could help stimulate Bitcoin into passed out of this scenario. It also could be a leading indicator on Bitcoin that we could be seeing a potential breakout here because of the liquidity that we're starting to see in a lot of these other projects. Let's jump over to Polygon real quick. Setting all-time high amid this market recovery. Good news, I think, for Polygon in general. Again, I think some of Polygon's juice and magic is built on the fact that it is dealing with a slow-moving ETH2 rollout. And a lot of people will look at this as being a thing, and the Ethereum scaling solutions, MATIC token has moved higher today, obviously 14% to reach all-time high. 266, since it's cooled off, and it's down to 261 right now trading. A little bit of a flat side there. We will take a look at this a little closer. And I do think that, just to give you guys a little bit of a spoiler, I feel like Polygon is going to continue a move here. The question is, when will it break $3, and will it go all the way to $10 if we see a breakout actually in the making right now? Because that's going to be the key here. Do I see this happening in the next week? No, absolutely not. But I do look at the trend and the indicators that are lining up very closely. And again, on these projects, you've got to keep yourself in the game. You can't let these kind of set it and forget it type scenarios. We are in a very interesting period of time in which, if you are taking profits, and I hope you are, then you've got to pay attention to when you're in and out of these projects. So stay very close to your apps and your computer. I know this is holiday season, but there's going to be money to be made out there. Previous all-time high, 262, achieved in 7 months ago in May, just days before the cryptocurrency market experienced obviously the big and most brutal sell-off we saw. And now it had massive lows, and then down to 69 cents in July, when we were out there going, listen, people, this is the time to jump in to this project, and you're going to see some amazing things hit. And again, that is for this reason alone, and that is Polygon is a necessary gem in the cryptoverse. And again, a lot of people look at this as, could it become an issue when ETH2O rolls out? Because if ETH2O does roll out, and I shouldn't say if, when, would Polygon become obsolete, or would it continue its run on that kind of functionality with Layer 2? A lot of people have been going in this direction with the narratives of ZK rollups, kind of this hybrid on ZK rollups. There's a lot of tech out there that is kind of going in that direction. But remember, Polygon is hitting on all scenarios. They are hitting in the altcoin side of things with ZK rollup, that narrative. They're also moving into the metaverse, NFT, gaming space. They've got a great tool set of, and one thing for sure is security has been not an issue. Not an issue with Polygon, where we have seen that with projects like, and I won't call it that it was a security issue with Solana, but definitely a congestion issue with Solana. But they did have a security issue earlier this year. So you can't, remember, Solana's still a beta project. I'm a little bit softer on Solana this year, or this late this year, mainly because I've been watching the trends moving in how investors are moving into Solana and what they're doing with their money. They're basically moving over to projects like Polygon and Luna. So again, Polygon refers to the ecosystem, MATIC, the native token. Of course, you guys know that if you've been watching these charts, this is the kind of chart you've been seeing on the move. The other thing you're going to see here is moves like this, which is Reddit co-founder Alexis Ohanian. He created a $200 million initiative with Polygon for Web3 on social media. I think if social media becomes a thing for Polygon, and I want to talk about that, because to me, this is probably the killer application for Polygon. If they are able to pull off a social media component within the metaverse or within a crypto engineered social media product, whether it's a new platform IRL, or if it is a project in which they tack on into an NFT generated metaverse component. Either way, they win. And the reason I think this is a factor is because of the fact that social media will become the key element in engagement in any of these kind of factors, whether you use it in real life in something like a Twitter or a derivative of what Twitter might become, or a new platform that maybe Polygon and Alexis are looking at. Remember, Alexis Ohanian, Reddit founder, one of the best minds out there in terms of Silicon Valley and what it means to socially interact in the digital space. Big deal there. So 200 million, I know that's not a lot, but that's the first step into what I think is a big part of the pie. Let's go over to Terra's topic, and that is Luna notches a new record high above $90, even as the shorts are piling up. Now, this is what concerns me about any kind of project when you get this much news on it. Now, remember, there's a couple of things happening with Terra, and full disclosure, right here before the show, I sold about 50% of my Terra, and the reason is the issue of this kind of run up in this period of time. It's a good profit taking time, not necessarily investment advice. We do these market movers. We'll go in, we'll do the research, dive in deep, but it is not investment advice. It's giving you guys hopefully a research plateau of understanding where do I need to look next on how I need to address a project or something that's in my portfolio. Hopefully it directs you in the right direction, not investment advice. But here was my strategy, is selling half of Luna and then holding back a certain amount of it, 50% of it, and it's a large bag. So it is a scenario where I do believe in the project, and I think Do Kwon is probably the one. I'd still put him in the top 5 out there in terms of crypto CEOs' minds in the industry. And what's happening though is the pressure for down pressure for pricing is coming in off of these shorts. So now, can they hold off to these shorts, pushing and really kind of pushing the pressure on the sale position, I think is going to be the question. We'll see the chart here in a second to kind of look at this, but if you look at what they're saying here, all saying on Wall Street, bull markets are born on pessimism, grow on skepticism, mature on optimism, and die on euphoria. I like that. Well, that is where we are right now, is euphoric. And that's always a scary point when I see a market or a project go to a euphoric level, because those are questionable. Now, does it mean that Luna's going to die? No, absolutely not. This project is way too important to the ecosystem of what we will see in crypto and in liquidity over the next several years. Do Kwon, again, like I said, one of the best out there. But the token and the smart contract Terra has nearly doubled to record highs in 90. So if you are looking at taking a short-term run at this might be the time to take a little profit off the table and move on. Now let's take a look at what Do Kwon has been saying. So this is a good one right here. Notice how the cockroaches are silent tonight as the sun shines bright. As promised, the moon gave no quarter. I like it. He often talks like this on social and is probably one of the best guys out there of kind of, really addressing the issue at hand without pulling any punches. But here's a cool thing right here, and that is 10 billion total value lock for Anchor Protocol. It's quickly becoming the baseline yield for all of crypto. That's 10 billion. That's not a typo. That's 10 billion TVL on Anchor Protocol. Do your research on Anchor Protocol. Understand how Anchor and Mirror Protocol are connected to Terra. Your eyes will be opened on understanding kind of the idea of what Do Kwon is trying to do with Terra Luna, and that is one of the reasons why we're seeing the run that we're seeing on Luna right now. Let's go into the chart here because I want to take a look at where this may end up. And remember, our first buying signal on Luna was back here in September, where we had some nice runs up on sentiment of 65.19. It had moved out and done pretty well during this nice little run, but this one right here was the one that really kind of indicated this we need to pay attention, and that was when we had a sentiment flip of 71.24 and AMP of 71.97. And during that period of time, Luna had a nice little run up here of 60%. We pulled back, we pulled the extra sentiment right here on the 24th of November, amplification had again flipped. We issued a buy order on Luna, and if you saw our last video, you probably even heard me say this is the time to grab it, guys. And then there was our 100% move, and then this was our most recent one where sentiment was holding on at 80.29 and 81.85. Again, another buy signal when sentiment flips. And in this particular scenario, you've seen a movement here of right at 92%. So coming back from our initial period of time in which we're trying to get people really to pay attention to what's happening in Luna, that was almost a 300% gain for you of where that was going. So Luna, very strong performer throughout the period of time in which Bitcoin has struggled a bit, and also where the market itself has struggled due to regulatory issues. Even if you listen to Do Kwon and kind of his whole gambit on how he, meaning Luna, is not necessarily going to be regulated as a stablecoin by the US, being the SEC, because they are, I think he even kind of got into it with the last interview with Coinbase, on Coinbase TV. They talked a little bit about it, and he was a little bit like, hey, listen, I'm a Korean. You know, this is my home country. This is our project in Asia, and we're not a US-based company. Hence, yeah, we have stablecoins. Sure, we're going to be building something like that. It has no bearing whatsoever on what's happening with the SEC. But if you look at where this is rolling, we do see a little bit of a drop right here, and I want to kind of zoom up on that, get a little bit tighter in this section right here where we see a little bit of this. This is, again, performing outside of even our own sentiment, but it did come back in and do a little bit of a bounce right here at the $88 rate, and this is really near what our potential high was, which is around $90. Of course, it has eclipsed that when people got it up around 97. But we do see it continue to climb out, and really even on the long term around end of December, we're still holding it around an $89 buy point. So can it continue? We'll see. The sentiment is showing an upward trend right here, and I think with upward trends like this, where you have these massive, these massive moves like this, the real question, does this end up in a parabolic move based on price action? Here's the thing. If you've got what's happening in the altcoin space and what's happening with projects like Polygon, and you've got Luna, of course, coming in there, there's two good things that could be happening right now, and that is that these two projects could be leading out the altcoin surge, which also can have that somewhat of an effect on Bitcoin and Ethereum. So just pay attention right there. Make sure and get your questions over into the comments or into the chat. We will try to get to those for sure. Before we get wrapped up here, I want to go over and take a look at MATIC. And let's see a little bit about where we were kind of our report card on MATIC. Again, this is one that was back in September. We were really kind of taking a look at where MATIC was trading, which was $1, and looking at an upward movement again, upward movement because of amplification. Had a nice run, another 75, which was up from the 73. And amplification holding at 76. Again, another upward run. And it really has just been outperforming even our own data set. But we do see MATIC potentially running out here to around a $3 high before we get to the end of the year. So this will be interesting to watch this one, because it is overperforming and over-indexing right now, even outside of our own sentiment layer. If it continues on this kind of movement right here, can MATIC continue this path, or will we see a correction and then this movement sideways? I don't know. This is a tough one. I like what MATIC is doing, and it is definitely one of those projects that has the capability, just because of where ETH is, and also because of the whole narrative around ZK rollups and a lot of projects moving into low-cost, no-cost gas fees. All of that plays into this. But again, check out our video with the MATIC dev lead on NFTs and gaming. And I think that might open up your eyes to where Polygon is trying to go. The other factor is that if Polygon gets into more and more deals with investors like Alexis Ohanian, then what does that mean for where that project could really go? Could it really become an Ethereum scale? Probably not to a $4,000 project, but definitely has the potential of moving into a new level of all-time highs. And maybe we have not seen everything yet in Polygon. And I am one of those from the camp that I think that Polygon is just on the verge of something very special. So just be watching, don't sleep on this one. If you are in a position where you want to take profits because you were in early, you got to do it. You have to do those kind of things, especially in markets that are volatile, like what we're dealing with and have been dealing with over the past few weeks. There's a few opportunities to take these runs and grab them and gray on. Now, a lot of you will ask me what I'm going to do with my Polygon. Right now, I'm holding Polygon. I feel like there's probably maybe a profit-taking opportunity at around $3, and that would be my first maybe bag ejection, so to speak, that I'd throw off the plane. And then from there, I'd like to see where it goes, because I think there still is a lot left in where Polygon could be. If you look at the overall chart, this is the total 3 index on a trading view, which essentially tracks everything with exception of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And you look back here, and I mean, just to show you just in general of how this has moved, pretty impressive for all the altcoins, or at least the major altcoins. If you actually go over to the chart, let's look at our growth. If you were investing in altcoins like a MATIC, you know, right here is your high, which was back here in the mid-November range, which was a 767% increase. Where we are right now, which appears to be a new breakout zone, you are still at 630% in terms of overall altcoin strategies. So a lot happening in the space around MATIC and Luna. Both of these I feel like are and could have the credibility of being able to break out many of the other altcoins into some very interesting volatility in terms of whether you're longing or shorting on some of these projects. So that's something to be thinking about, is if you are trading, is there an opportunity for a long or a short here for you guys? We're going to get over to our questions today to kind of jump into each of these, because I know many of you will have questions on just where is this going, how do you see this playing out, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. The first one coming in right here, and by the way, don't forget, jump into our live stream tomorrow. You don't want to miss that one. We're going to be giving away money, digital assets. So make sure and get on the live stream tomorrow. It is going to be a good one for pre-Christmas. Hopefully you guys are all taking some time off with your families and enjoying some of that. All right, let's get into bullish eggs. Luna doing good, but watch the bull traps getting caught at the top. Okay, so I would agree that you are right. That's one of the reasons that I did a little bit of a bag exit with Luna. I'm concerned about these short sellers or these shorts that are being placed on Luna right now. If we see and continue to see that kind of pressure, those things are hard to resist. And in many cases, for some people, if they've gained, like, you know, maybe they were in early on Luna, this is a great opportunity for them to take some profits. So you can't blame people for doing that. Me personally, like I said, I did a 50-50. Full disclosure, kept a half a bag. We're going to try to run that out because I do like what Do Kwon is doing. And Luna in general, and if you really take a look at where this could go, because I think this will be your next question, where is the top? I'm looking somewhere about $150. And that's right. If Anchor and the power of Mirror Protocol continues to build in that total value locked in terms of just the opportunity for liquidity in the market space, Luna is a very, very attractive project. So stay on that one. Does Anchor have a bright future? Anchor Protocol, go read about Anchor Protocol and dive into it. I want you to research this term right here, Arrington Capital. The guy's name is Mike Arrington. Now, Mike Arrington, you guys following tech, you probably already know who Mike Arrington is. He has been a tech journalist for about 3 decades. I know Mike Arrington. I've met him. I've worked in and around his team, but he's got basically an XRP fund, but also a crypto fund that is rolling out massive hit after hit after hit. Now, there's some dogs in there. Don't get me wrong. If you look at his portfolio, don't take it all for granted. But the point is that Mike is one, you know, we got to get him on the show. We got to get Mike Arrington on the show. I think he's one of the best crypto investors out there, and he understands the technology layer, which many investors do not. When you write about something and understand tech and computer science the way he does, then follow those kinds of things. Anchor Protocol, watch out for that one. Are Solana and Polygon similar projects, or are they trying to accomplish different things? You know, similar in the sense of layer. layer 2 protocols. The different things, sure, they kind of have similarities in the sense of Solana's a little bit more powerful on the gaming side. I would say Polygon is trying to move in that direction. But the security aspect of Polygon, and I won't say this just pure on security, but if you look at what Solana has done in terms of scalability and their ability to handle, the issues that they may be facing on security side. And remember, Solana is still a beta project. Not that I think, Polygon is much past that, but they have seemed to address this on a much higher level than what Solana has done that. Now, if you're just betting on this, these are kind of semantics, a little bit of a tit for a tat type thing. It's not massive. I think it really boils down to, do you like the ecosystem Polygon, or do you like the ecosystem of Solana? If you only had one to invest in, what would that be? You tell me. Would you like Solana or would you like Polygon? If you were watching our show the other day, there's actually some millennial data out there on this, and boomer data on this too, both on both those tokens. So go back, check out our Bitcoin 2022 trends video. You're going to see some cool stuff in there. All right. Where do you think ETH will be at the end of the year? End of year, just in the next week. If ETH cracks 4,000, we could see a little run up to around 42, 43. We probably are going to drop an ETH video tomorrow to give you guys some ideas of where this is going. We're pulling some data on ETH right now. But I anticipate, again, Bitcoin is bumping. Let's see where Bitcoin is right now. Just to take a quick look, we're trading at 48,990, and it's right there in our trough. Let's show this chart right here. It's right there in our trough, which is where we've been picking it. And this is a live feed in on top of our sentiment data. So it's staying right in our track. I am a little bit worried about this little dip right here, which could take us down to the 44, 45 range. But if Bitcoin holds and we see a little bit of a breakout towards the end of the year, yes, ETH could break out to 42 to 45. So be on the lookout for ETH. Big bag of mine. I like ETH, and I'm a big player in it. A little disappointed on the continued pushback. They're not hitting the deadlines. That's another thing that some people are talking about doing with ETH, and that is maybe an exit point that's earlier than what their original strategy was. So maybe rethink your ETH strategy as you go. You could get, okay, so Mr. Ether, you could get a short squeeze and then you're really in a euphoria if you're not in euphoria yet. You are right about that, but you're exactly right. These stages of euphoria, it's always the warning sign of get ready, because everybody else is kind of in that same scenario. We got something coming over on the screen there. Something's coming in over on the screen. Okay, it was coming in. Our control room is running shorthanded today. He's trying to run sound and switching all at the same time. All right, Matic and Polkadot, huge potential. Holy, let's go there, because Polkadot is way undervalued right now for what it needs to be in terms of the ecosystem. Polkadot is due for a run. It is due for a run. It just has not had it. With the parachain auctions, I thought we would start to really see a lot more interest in it. I think it was just timing. These parachain auctions happened at a period of time in crypto that we've just seen so much pressure and legislative issues, ESG issues, the issues of all these, the FUD elements of what's happening in crypto. Watch out for Polkadot. I'm still a big believer in it, and I still hold a big bag of Polkadot. All right, Karan, let's talk about this. What is the price thought for Polygon? Like I said, I think if Polygon moves, and many people are still pushing, I'm looking at potentially that $3 window for a small exit on Polygon, but I am not pushing it as the top. I still feel like the blow off top for Polygon could reach the $10 mark. We've talked about this before on the show. If it gets a run and it's in a healthy period of time in which the rest of the market has liquidity, has the potential for volume, then it definitely could run with that. And with what is showing right now in sentiment, it does not show that it's slowing down. So we could see a blow off top around 10 bucks. Let's talk about regulations against stablecoins. Luna with US Tether will skyrocket more. Oliver, this is a good question, because Stablecoin regulation is coming. It's going to happen, at least here in the United States. We will see USDC, USDT have a certain amount of regulatory scenarios put within them. If that does and will happen, then how does Luna fare? It's back to my point, because Luna could go, because of the TVL of some of these supporting, ecosystems within what's happening with Terra Luna, is it has the potential to break out and maybe see a 150 mark, and that's still massive growth. If you were remembering, maybe you were in at $6 on Luna. That'd be an unbelievable gain for what you're going to. Which are you holding, Sol or Matic? Okay, so this is a good. This came in on a poll. All right, so let me see that number again. All right, so we did a poll real quick in case you guys didn't catch it. Which are you holding, Solana or Matic? Matic was 74%, 26% on Solana. So you guys are kind of in the same camp I am, in the sense that Solana is a really good project. I hold it, but I'm definitely forward in terms of my position right now with Matic. So lots of stuff happening in that space, and I think what you're going to see is with Matic is a nice little Christmas surprise and continued run up. If we can see that $3 mark, that would be a nice place. I think if you are looking for your first exit or your first strategic exit, that's the one to hit. All right, you guys, don't forget, Diamond Circle, get in it real quick, because we're doing a giveaway tomorrow. You want to make sure and get in on that list for that giveaway. And if you have an idea for a show, drop it in the comments if you're catching this after the live stream, or hit me up on Twitter @PaulBaron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.